We found so many of those in our apartment. In our guest bathroom, near the front area was the worst. We would kill so many that we started having, they were just in his food squirming around. Hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today's video is going to be pretty interesting. This is something I brought up a lot, and you might have heard me blabber about this if you watch me on YouNow, because I have talked about this before a few months back when I lived at this place, because I was so freaking irritated with my situation that was going on. So if you have heard some of it, then you're about to hear more of it. And also, I'm sorry for just the whole setup right now. I'm on a bed in the living room because we slept out here. I know, what the hell, I don't know, but we have a bed out here right now and it's fun. And I am so tired, I feel sick as hell. This video is going to be about this luxury apartment me and my boyfriend rented about a year ago, actually, is when we started renting it. I don't know how long this video will be. I have pictures for a couple things. So this starts back in December of 2018. I moved here in Texas about like the 18th of December, so almost exactly a year ago from right now. My boyfriend Johnny, he got our apartment before I actually moved here, if you understand what I mean. So we signed it, paid for it, whatever. We did that obviously equally, but I was in a different state. So he got it. He really wanted this apartment. We live in a town where there's like no options, and there's really horrible apartments for like $500 a month that are really ghetto, you know, not trying to be rude, but they just are. And then he always saw this one that was a lot more expensive, and this is back in the time, if you've seen my video about how I made like over $50,000 in a year from home, whatever. I had a decent amount of money and I was making a good monthly income. Right now, I'm not making even like an eighth of that. But we decided, sure, we'll get a 2-bed, 2-bath, so I could use the other room for broadcasting, which I barely ever did, and then we would just have an extra bathroom that we would use, which we did use. And then the price of that was $1,450 or something around that. It was like $1,400, but then they had us pay for gas, or we had to pay for gas, we had to pay for electricity, we had to pay for trash, and we had to pay for water. There was like a lot of little bills. The trash was ridiculous. It was like $12 a month, which was stupid. We barely even threw anything away. And then, well, we threw stuff away, but it was just ridiculous compared to what we have now. We don't have to pay that. And so it was just a lot. Usually our monthly bill would be like 15 something. I don't know. It would just be about 15 something with everything added on. Just giving you a reference of how much this place was and what we ended up having to deal with while paying this kind of money. I get there, I move in, like I said, probably like December 18th, 19th, whatever, and we lived there together. We slowly started accumulating furniture and start getting some stuff, not a lot of stuff to be honest. Then this is the first thing that happened that we had an issue with, and I'm also going to say in this video that we got to the point with our apartment manager that we honestly, and it was vice versa, you could tell, we just did not like her. She did not like us. I know everyone knows this type of person, a very fake nice person, you know what I mean? That is just so overly nice that they're just trying to do it to piss you off. You know what I mean? When they say kill people with kindness, this lady was trying to kill us with kindness, so we do it back. This lady was probably about 30. Very lazy, I'll also explain that. Our first issue didn't have to do with her actually. Our first issue had to do with one of our neighbors. It was the lady above us. She, oh my gosh. This was horrible. In January or February, I think it's January, I started trying to get my license for my real estate license, which I have now. So if you need a real estate agent, come to me. So I'd be home all the time, which before that I also was working from home, so I was just home all the time. And so I was there all the time studying. Like I would be on this computer all the time studying. And then I started noticing these sounds, multiple sounds, very loud sounds. I would hear the loudest feet stomping that sounded like horses were running above me, and I'm like, what the hell? And we didn't know who was above us, so we were thinking, oh, it's a family, like there's a family with kids up there running around, I don't know, or someone's getting home and taking off their boots in the middle of the day, I don't know. At first it wasn't like super loud to the point where I was like, you know, irritated. It was okay, and I was like, okay, it doesn't last forever, whatever. Then there was this dog that, I'm pretty sure it wasn't the person above us who had a dog, but there was this loud dog that would bark like hours out of the day. Hours. I also completely forgot to explain. We were in a building A. There was multiple buildings. I don't know how many. At this point, they were also building more because these were really new. And we were in the first building ever built, which is important. Please remember, we were in the first building that was ever built. Just so you know, that building had problems, okay? That's what you need to take into consideration, and I will bring it back up because that building had problems, and we weren't the only ones once we talked to some neighbors. Anyways, let's hold off on that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So there was this dog that started barking. It would not shut up for like a good hour and a half. Every day it would happen at like, I don't know if it was between like 1 and 4 or like, it was different sometimes. And then I remember it would got to the point where it started happening in the evening, and that's when my boyfriend was home, so he could finally hear what I was hearing because it was so frustrating. He wasn't here, and I would have this dog barking as I'm trying to read and study and learn this shit that was already stressing me out, and then having to deal with that, not knowing where the noise was coming from because it was just, like I said, the way it was set up was really confusing. Like there was a building A and then right next to it there's a building B, so you really couldn't tell which one it was coming from. This goes on for probably a good 2 weeks, and I'm also going to be straightforward here with you guys. Me and my boyfriend are not the type of people that are going to go up to someone's apartment and be like, can you shut up? Can you be quiet? Like, I'm not good at going and talking to people. I'll be completely honest with you. I can't do it. If I'm asking you to be quiet and I don't know you, it is really, really tough for me to go up to you and tell you to be quiet, or if you can please keep it down. It just is. It's something that bothers me. I don't know. We decided after it been going on for a couple weeks to email the manager about what was going on, and we also were able to actually get these sounds recorded, which is why I wish I had it. It was all on his phone, and now he has a new phone, so I don't know if he has the recordings or if he just deleted them, but they weren't super easy to hear, but you could hear the noise. So if I could include that, I will, but probably won't. And so you could just hear in one of the videos a dog barking. And then once the dog would stop, we would still have this lady above us because we knew for sure it was her above us making this noise, like the stomping and stuff. We would hear this lady stomping so much, and we got it on camera. To the point, it was ridiculous. This went on for a couple months. We told our manager, and she actually said, okay, I'll talk to her, blah, blah, blah. And she actually told us that it was just one lady living up there, and we were so confused how it could possibly be one lady, but that her parents visit her for like every weekend. This continues to happen. It never once was resolved. This lady would never, ever, ever stop slamming her. I mean, it sounded like she was wearing boots and just slamming her feet down on purpose. You know what I'm saying. I take that back. It did get resolved, but it really pissed us off in the way it got resolved. So listen to this. This went on, like I said, a couple months. We had talked to our manager about it, and she eventually told us, gave us the option of moving, and she specifically told us that we would be able to move and we'd be able just to continue our lease. Okay, also important. So she told us this, and we had actually went and talked to her a couple different times in her office, and this is one of them. And so she told us this, and we're like, okay, whatever, that sounds good. Well, what ended up happening is we didn't hear anything about this situation for a good couple more weeks, and we eventually found out that that lady did move out. Why this was not a great resolution for us is because that dog still barked. Nothing had happened with the dog. I would call, or I would email my manager, and she would want to come over to my apartment and hear the dog for herself, and she would respond so late to the point that the dog would not be barking anymore. She would come over when and just go hang out outside around the apartment and message me and say, I don't hear anything. I'm like, yeah, because you came over an hour and a half after I told you the dog was barking. Yeah, it's not barking now, but I'm sure in 20 minutes it will start barking for a few minutes, because that's just how on and off this dog was. That got really frustrating, because then after our neighbor above us moved out, the manager acted like, oh, I didn't tell you guys you could move out. You guys can't move, otherwise you'll have to sign a whole new lease. And we did not want to do that. We'd already been there for 4 months at this point, and we didn't want to do that because we just want to get out of here. So eventually we just kept bugging her. I'm going to be completely honest. Like I told you, we weren't the best. We would bug her even if it was just a few minutes of dog barking, because it got to the point where she wouldn't do anything about it when it was going on forever, that I'm going to bug you with every little annoyance that bugs me. You get what I'm saying? Because if you're not going to help me out and be my apartment manager and make me sit here all day listening to this damn dog barking while I'm trying to study and learn shit and get out of here, then I'm gonna annoy you. I know, it's a little petty. Okay, so I'm gonna pause on the noise part of this whole thing, because that is pretty much what continued to happen throughout the whole thing. We had a dog barking, Didn't know where it was coming from. She even said, there's no people with dogs above you or below you, and I'm not able to disclose where they are. And so I was like, okay, whatever. This is something that started to really disgust us and piss us off. And then we found out something that really pissed us off. We were living there, and this happened while the noise was happening. I just wanted to explain that first. So this had started to happen. It didn't just like happen right after, like one thing after another. Like it all was happening. So we started to notice that in our bathroom, we were getting little sugar ants coming all around the mirror. Like they were coming under where the mirror, because there was a mirror in a bathroom, you know, that was there when we got there. And it would just be coming in the cracks around the side. You know what I'm talking about. Imagine a bathroom and, you know, where the caulking is done. Imagine that. There would be ants coming out of there. And it would totally depend on the day if there would be a bunch or just a few. I remember one time I killed like 40 something ants. Just for little tiny sugar ants. And my boyfriend would spray all the time. He would do a bunch of stuff. And it got to the point where it was honestly ridiculous. Like we had so many ants, but we really didn't want this lady to come into our stuff because she was very nosy. I didn't explain that at all. She would be very nosy when we would have an issue. For example, so we had another ant issue, and it was in our kitchen, which was the first time we'd ever had an issue in our kitchen, ever. And in our kitchen, we kept that kitchen really, really clean. Like we really did keep that kitchen pretty damn clean. We also didn't use it very often. We rarely cooked in the kitchen. Now we cook all the time. Like we don't waste as much money spending money out because it was putting me in a horrible mood. So we just stopped. Okay, so our fridge would be like up against the edge, up against the wall. Okay, our fridge was up against the wall. It was also really annoying. We would open the fridge, our freezer, I showed this on my broadcast, and I could barely open it. It would just slam against a door because it was right next to these two doors that we could open where you would keep like a laundry, like a washer and dryer. And so it would just slam into these doors. You could barely get the freezer open. It was so tiny. It was horrible. That's besides the point, just including that, because we paid a lot for this shit ass place. So there was a bunch of ants out of nowhere, and I was like, what the hell? And it started freaking me out. And so we contacted her and told her. She's like, okay, I'll send the exterminator over, blah, blah, blah. Can you tell me why she ends up coming with him? We had other things, little things, where the like maintenance person would come there and check on something or do this, because they had a lot of like checkups. Like every couple months they would have to come in and inspect your place. It was a lot. So it was just weird that this one time she decided to come with, and I remember being there alone, and my boyfriend got home like right as they were there, and it was the most awkward thing ever. All the guy did was put down like a little ant thing and told us not to spray a certain kind of thing, so we didn't. And it didn't help at all. Like no ants ever got caught in that little trap. Nothing. No ants ever. And it had a bunch of ants, so it was really ridiculous. Anyways, they ended up leaving. We told them we didn't see any more ants just because we didn't want them to go in our bathroom, because we figured they wouldn't be able to help either. We already had bought traps, by the way. We bought traps, we bought spray. So we already did a lot of stuff, and my boyfriend does a lot of that stuff. He knows what he's doing. So I was trying to go through some of my emails because there's a bunch of emails back and forth with this woman, and I'm annoyed because I can't find the ones more about noise complaints, which is fine because a lot of those were actually through Johnny's phone because he had her number and texted her a bunch, and so we didn't have to wait through email. I usually am the one who emailed her. I emailed her more about the bug situation that we ended up having. There was a grill there that you were able to use. This was just more of an annoyance. It's definitely not a big deal. Like you can say totally it's not a big deal at all. But it was some sort of holiday. Was it 4th of July? I think it was 4th of July. Let me see. Yeah, it was 4th of July. And they had grills outside, and they had the actual worst instructions I've ever seen to use a grill before. It was so annoying, and we were trying to get a hold of her. I know it was 4th of July. She had been there. She lived, by the way, I did not mention to you guys that this lady, the apartment manager, lived here. I want to mention that. I don't want you to think, oh my God, you contact her and she has to run there. No, she lived there, literally right across from us. Like our building was here. She was in the building across from us. So not our building. So she was always there. I just want you to know that. All right, I emailed her about this grill situation because it would not turn on. It was me, Johnny, and his mom and his brother. And his little brother, and none of us could get the grill to work. And so finally we actually got help from another resident there thank you again for helping us, because he even said how hard it was and how he needed help when he first got there because the instructions made absolutely no sense. I'm gonna mention two other things. So this place had a pool, and it had like a, you know, like a clubhouse, like a hangout place. I've had one of those before too, but I really never used it at my old apartment. I just had no need to, and it was always cold. And here in Texas, it's not cold. I remember one day I was going down there, and this got to be so annoying. They would close that pool like once or twice a week for the whole day. It was just for cleaning for the whole day. The whole day. And I remember walking by there. I can't get in. And I can see that there's literally no one doing anything. Like there was no one in there. There hadn't been anyone in there for like 3 hours. And I know there's probably stuff like chemicals and stuff. But this would happen a couple days a week. My mom has a pool where she lives. She doesn't have to not go in it for like 2 days. She doesn't have to deal with that stuff. So I don't know how that all works. But I found it very strange. By the way, it wasn't usually like, oh, this day it's closed and then the next day it's still closed. No, it'd be like Monday it's closed and Friday it's closed. Monday it's closed, Wednesday it's closed, Tuesday it's closed, Friday it's closed. It would never be like Monday and Tuesday it's closed, you know, which even then I would think that's stupid. Sorry, my hair looks like actual garbage, by the way. Yeah, so that was something that annoyed me because I was there and wanting to go there because it was hot as hell and I couldn't just go dip my feet in the pool. Another annoying thing, the clubhouse would always be closed unless she was there. She was never there. This is something I need to tell you too. This woman would be gone a lot. I don't know if she was doing work stuff or not, but then when she was there, this is really the kicker, you guys. She would be laying at the pool any hour of the day. She could be there at 10 a.m. She could be there at 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. She could be there at 4 p.m. She would always be there though by 3. There was never a day I would look out there that she was not laying there at 3 o'clock. Please tell me why you're out there on one of your working days. People, I know her schedule because it's literally when the office is open. So why are you there? Why is the office closed at 11 a.m. while you're laying out by the pool? Please tell me that. Please tell me why on a fucking Tuesday that it's closed, or on a Wednesday. This was never just the same day, which is what I want to reiterate. This would happen any day of the week just because she has nothing to do. So she's gonna close it for all of the residents so she can go lay by the pool. I remember Johnny's parents, or Johnny's mom came there once and laid by the pool because you are allowed to have people there. But we did not know that you're only allowed to have people there and you have to be with them like 24/7. We did not know that. Okay, his mom's an adult and she's just hanging out by the pool. And then we got a big no-no for that. So we're like, okay, whatever. So we didn't do that anymore. And so this is really the kicker. This was really something that pissed us off. And I'm gonna tell you again that we did not say anything. Mostly because we didn't want her coming back into our apartment. We wanted to get out of here. I talked a lot about this when I was live, and I have pictures and I will insert them once I find them. This was disgusting. I don't know where these came from. So near the front of our apartment, there was a door obviously, and there was another door that was a little closet. We rarely ever used that, more just put some stuff in that we just left until we moved. And then there's like a little ledge next to that, and we had hamsters. So there was a ledge next to that, and I want to say that this did not happen because we had hamsters. I mean, it may have attracted it more, but I have my hamsters still here in a different apartment. Never in the past 3 months have had anything like this happen. I don't know why this happened. It was to the point where it was like infested. So I noticed one day, this traumatized me by the way, and it's like once this happened, we started looking more in like the walls and seeing this. I opened my hamster's food and was about to feed him, and I always dump out his food, and I pick up his little thing, and there is like a, I'm gonna just call it a worm. I don't know if it was a maggot or not. I'm pretty sure it was just like worms. And there was just like 2 fat little, not worms from outside. You know what I'm talking about? Like mealworms, I think they're called. I don't know. They were just in his food squirming around. And I remember my hamsters looking at me like, what the fuck? I just remember my hamster looking at me like up like this as I'm taking his food, and I'm like, ew. And so I dump that out and I freak out. It's really late at night. And so I open his bag of food and I like put a little in it, and I realized that the bag of food had like a little bit where it hadn't been shut, and the bag had, I don't even know how to describe it. It wasn't like, wasn't full of bugs or anything, but when you picked it up, it was kind of like clumped together. Do research on it if you want. I've looked it up since then, and that just means that like it's kind of going bad, and that it may have been eaten, kind of, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes much sense, but the food kind of was like webbish. I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but it was stuck together and it was like some of it's been eaten by bugs. Does that make sense? So we completely threw that food away. Like all of a sudden had happened. It was so bizarre because that had never been the thing. So after that, I threw out the food. We got new food the next day because it was super late. And I went and got a container to pour all the food in and make sure it would be sealed. So that never happened again, thankfully. It's not where the story ends because that's not just where this happened. It got way worse. So cleaned the cage the next day. Boom, got that all cleaned. There was a couple worm things on top of his cage, not even in the cage, just on the plastic part, which just, oh, it was so disgusting to me. I just was terrified of the cage after this. And for a long, long time until we moved out of there. Like, I was terrified of the cage. And for my hamsters, I was just scared. I don't remember if it was this night or the next night or the next day. I have no idea. But next thing I know, I start really thinking, okay, we gotta look around because, like, what were those and where'd they come from? Like, it maybe not was just a one-time thing in my hamster's shit. And we start noticing in the corners on the ceiling, like, you see those corners right there? And that's not it. But we started noticing that we would see these little, like, little tiny, like, worm-looking things. And be like, what the fuck? And so my boyfriend would go and he would, like, smush it, and it was a real worm. Like, it was a bug. It wasn't just, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just that. We found so many of those in our apartment. In our guest bathroom, near the front area was the worst. In the room that I broadcast, there was even a few up in the, more up than down, but there was a couple lower to the ground too. It was just bizarre. And we would find these and we would get rid of them all. Boom, there would be more, like, in a couple hours. They would just come back, and it was so disgusting. And then we started realizing why. We started getting these moths, and they were tiny moths. I'd never seen them before. I forgot what they were called. And we realized finally that that's what these were from, that they were these nasty moths. They would always be by our front door, like, always be by our front door. We would shut that shit so fast, and our door would have this long, our door had this pretty wide opening, which sketched me out because I hate bugs, so I'm pretty sure that's where it came through. But who knows? We didn't leave the door open ever. I was totally against leaving the door open. Like, I'm scared to death of bugs, so I don't know where these moths were coming from. Other than them laying eggs, turning into moths. Boom, we had a bunch of moths. This went on for so long. We had so many. We would kill so many moths that we started having black specks all over the place, and we would be confused if it was a dead moth or not. Definitely will have pictures to insert. Baby, I don't know. I can't see. It just started feeling gross. I didn't like eating there. I didn't like living there. I felt like I was living in a, I don't know. We would spray, we would do absolutely everything, but we did not call for that. We just didn't want to be blamed for anything. We felt like she would say, oh, well, it wasn't like that before, but once you did that. But, I mean, really, I don't know where it came from. It was really weird. None of our stuff was dirty like that. We live in this apartment now that's way bigger than the other one, and we've never, ever, ever had an issue like that before, and this place is way older than that one, so I don't know. To me, that one was the nastiest one, because I just got, like, there would just be a moth flying next to me, and I would be like, ugh, you know, and I would try to kill it. It was gross. And then we'd have those little, like, bugs, oh, and then when we found this out, we started going through everything, and I hopefully solved this picture. My boyfriend had a little toolkit. He opened that sucker up, dead moth things, like, or dead larvae, whatever things. Any others? Just in it. It was so nasty. I want to include the part where I said that we found out we're not the only ones with issues. Like, we weren't the only ones with the ant problem. We found that out. And we weren't the only problem with the paint job of that place was absolute trash. They did a horrible job. This place was just, like, it was one of those things where they get a bunch done really fast, you know. Shitty job, probably paid their workers really shittily, and they did a horrible job, and then they charge you like an arm and a leg for it when it's not worth that much, not even close. And we were the idiots that fell for it. The paint was really, really horrible. I remember my boyfriend had a conversation with the new people that lived above us. They were an older couple, and we actually got to meet them, and they were nice. So they ended up having told us they had an ant problem too. We were moving out, and we talked to them about it, and he said that they had a ton of ants up above us. Like above us, they had a ton of ants, and it just made so much more sense where this was why this was happening. It wasn't just ours. Like, we weren't leaving shit out just for ants to get on. Nothing we ever left out had any bugs on it. We never left shit out. Our bathroom never had stuff left out other than like a towel hanging there, which no ants ever went on the towel. It was just always on the counter, and it just was like just coming up out of places, if you get what I'm saying. And so it was kind of relieving to hear that we weren't the only ones, but it was also disgusting, but relieving. That building, all the time there was someone moving in and out of that building. All the time. All the time. And then come to find out that that building was the first ever building built. Obviously, means it's building A. And we found out that it was the first one, and that it's had a lot of problems because it was like their test building. You get what I'm saying? So we kind of got screwed in this whole situation. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot to bring this up. The ants in the kitchen. I want to tell you this. So, I'm going to read you what I sent her, and I'm going to insert the picture in a second so you can see what this is about. So, we decided to pull out the stove and the refrigerator because we're like, where are these ants coming from? This stove was never, ever, ever cleaned underneath. Like, they never, ever cleaned under it before we moved in there. It was for sure. Like, they never cleaned under there. And why this really pissed us off was because we could see ants coming from there. There was definitely ants coming from there. There was food down here, stuff we'd never even eaten or had because we don't have a child, and you will understand in a second. I sent her this. Hi, blank. Do you guys do deep cleanings after someone moves out? Because we noticed ants in our kitchen around the stove area, so we decided to pull out the refrigerator and oven. There's a bunch of gross stuff behind the oven that has been there from before we moved in. There's candy and crumbs and stuff like that. I'll insert the photo here. This looks like it's creating an ant problem for us because there's just a random cracker and chapsticks and stuff like that back there, and it's just gross. I know this is after business hours, so please just email us back when you resume work. And that's what I said to her. You can look at the picture for yourself. When you zoom in, it's like really gross. I'm looking right now, and I don't know if there were any dead bugs back there. It kind of looked like there was some dead bugs back there. I couldn't really tell, and I didn't want to get too close to it. It was just dirty, and you could tell it never had been swept under there. Like, there was a little, there was like an animal cracker somewhere. We never ever ate animal crackers ever. There was this little, like, there's like a little star right here for like a little kid toy or something. I mean, there was just a lot of little nasty shit. Like, we never had a dum-dum thing, or whatever those are called. You know what I mean? We never had a coin wrap roller thing. Just stuff like that was annoying. But I don't know what she responded to that. But that's, so after that is when they came and like did the ant thing or whatever. She didn't clean under there, but we did make it where we would not have to pay for anything under there to be cleaned because it was not clean before, but she would not admit that they did not clean. Like, she would have said, no, they did clean. And I'm like, no, they didn't. Like, there's no way that they cleaned. They did not clean under there because that stuff was not our stuff. I'm like seeing so much more from this woman that she sent me that I'm just like, oh my gosh. We had another issue. I'm going to tell this really quickly. We had another issue, and then I'll call it quits for now, where there's a huge storm, like a huge raining storm, horrible. And in our living room area, one of the windows wasn't, like, water was just coming in, and it was just drenching our bottom part. It was completely closed and everything, and my boyfriend noticed where it was dripping, and the caulking was not done right. Like, there was just coming right through it, and that was the first time we had experienced that, and so they ended up coming in and fixing it. But it was just little shit like that that was broken. We also, or that wasn't working correctly. We also had a fan, just like a normal fan like we have here, that we would have on a lot. And we noticed every time it was on, it would continuously, like after 30 seconds, be so loud. Like, so loud. I would just hear like thump, 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 thump. Like, what is going on? It was so loud. And that was the only fan that did that. And we found out once they finally came and checked it, was that it was weighted incorrectly or something. So they finally fixed it. And then it was just stuff like that. Also, you know, like the little thing on fans that you can like turn them on. Both of those were missing, like the little end part, and she tried to blame us for that, and they were missing when we moved in. We did not just take off the little piece of the fan and drop it. Okay, like that just didn't happen. We didn't turn it on that way. I never once touched that. I turned it on using the little switch on the wall. So it was stuff like that that happened. I'm gonna leave it at that because I feel like I just went on and on and on, and I've been recording for like 40 minutes. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, you guys. There was more stuff that I would have to go back and look through the emails, just like I completely forgot about the window and I forgot about the fan, and then there's just definitely other stuff I know there was. She did a lot of things that would just irritate us. We actually did end up getting out of there early because we were so annoyed with the situation and wanted to talk to the owner and wanted to talk to a lot of people, blah, blah, and they finally let us out early. And actually my boyfriend left a review. We both left a review for their website. Mine was never posted. Like mine, they deleted or something. I don't know if they're able to do that, but mine never showed up on Google. I'm so furious about that because my boyfriend's did. And then they had the audacity to ask him to take it down and to change his review. And he said, no, I'm not changing my review. That's how it was. That's what we went through. And I want other people to know about it. But they had the audacity, she had the audacity to message him and ask him to change it. It means they let us out early, but he didn't. He did not need to change it. He didn't say anything that wasn't true, so they weren't able to do that. All he did was say, you know, it was a horrible experience. We had this, and this happened to us, and we're stuck in this apartment, and then they let us out. Thank you so much, you guys. I really, really do appreciate it. I really hope you give this a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And we're in December. I can't believe it's almost Christmas. When you're watching this, it might already be past Christmas, or maybe it's Christmas today, or maybe it was Christmas tomorrow, or I don't know. But bye, guys.